The truth is, you were always so good at pushing, old friend. Pushing me to do the right thing. You should have pushed a little harder. Henry, come visit the old workshop. There's something I need to show you.
You can sit back and try to put your goddamn foot on my motherfucking throat all you want to. But as I prove time and time and time and time and time a fucking again, I will rise from the fucking ashes. Motherfucker.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. I prove it. We play on. There we go, baby.
Well, hello, name's Strike. Welcome back to Champions of the Rift, the series where I explain the ins and outs of League of Legends champions in the best way I know how, while trying to make you laugh along the way. This time we're taking a look at Pyke, the Blood Harbor Ripper. Let's dive right in, shall we?
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Hey, Billy.
Oh no.
Please, Larry, you don't understand.
In his youth, Pyke started where many already had, on the slaughter docks. He found a job in a butcher shop known as the Blood Harbor. There, he would see large amounts of gold being given to captains and crew members for capturing these monstrous beasts that then Pyke and his fellow workers would cut into chunks of meat. After a while, he got fed up with the hard work and the horrible paycheck, so he quit and managed to join the ship shortly after. In his new job, Pyke had a name for himself for the traditional eating technique of the Serpent Isles, where the harpooner would launch himself at the creature and butcher them while they still lived. He also knew the prices of every type of meat and what items sold for more. He was rapidly known as the best harpooner a Golden Kraken could buy. The rarest and most wanted sea monster was the Jawfish. He was known by his razor-sharp jaw and a priceless amount of sapphire hidden inside him. Just a small flask of this blue oil could allow Pyke to buy a ship and its entire crew 10 times over, and for that reason, he would not miss the chance to hunt this beast down. After a couple of days at sea, they finally managed to find and secure the monster. Even though this was the biggest and oldest one Pyke has ever seen, he still didn't give a single fuck, and jumped right into his mouth without hesitating. As he made work of the jawfish, a huge vibration was suddenly heard from the creature, and then smaller, younger jaws quickly came to attack the ship and defend their king. The captain was freaked out when he saw this and turned the ship around, dooming the harpooner with the faces of his crewmates' horrified looks as the last thing he saw before getting swallowed alive. It seemed like the end had come for Pyke, but fate had other plans. He opened his eyes to find himself still in the jaw's mouth. There was also blue lights everywhere he looked. They seemed to be watching him, echoing ancient and mysterious voices that slowly filled his brain and crushed his mind, with visions of all the people who had profited off his death. After that, Pyke was driven by vengeance and retribution. He was a changed man, and had but one mission, to fill the depths with the corpses of everyone who once wronged him. When the slaughter began, no one thought much of it at first, since blood on the tides was nothing new on Biltwater. However, what was days turned into weeks, and those weeks turned into months. Rumors told the story of a supernatural killer who once betrayed at sea was now gutting his way through a crew manifestation of a ship. In little time, the line, "You a captain?" went from a mark of respect and importance to a huge alarm of imminent danger. But it wasn't enough. Merchants, bankers, his first mates, and anyone in the slaughter dock business had their lives taken away and left at sea. On the bounty boards, the Blood Harbor Ripper had 1,000 Kraken price for his capture, but nothing was going to put an end to his bloodbath. Now driven by twisted memories from the deep, Pyke has succeeded where many have failed, striking fear into the hearts and minds of unredeemable businessmen, killers, and seafaring scoundrels alike. A city that prides itself on hunting monsters now has an uncontrollable one hunting them, and Pyke has no intention of stopping. So after this, how is Pyke in game? Well, Pyke is satisfying. In fact, he's one of the most satisfying champions in the game, and in my opinion, the coolest support Riot has ever made. And I'm not just talking about gameplay. His quotes and character overall are just really cool. His insanity is never described in the lore, because his quotes show it to you while you're playing. He constantly talks about his endless list of people that he needs to kill, how the world has become corrupted with the people who aren't fair or just. He looks down on the world while, ironically, being at the bottom of the sea. He also feels amazing to play. Riot said, and I quote, "We wanted Pyke to make it so every lane is scared of him, every jungler is scared of him, and if you run into him, you're most likely going to get killed." And they kinda pulled it off. But before talking about that, let's go over his abilities first, as we have a lot to cover. Pyke's passive is Gift of the Drowned Ones, and it has two parts. The first one makes it so Pyke cannot increase his maximum HP except when he levels up. To compensate for this, he gains 1 attack damage for every 14 bonus health he gets. It might sound pretty good, but you're probably not going to build any items with health on them anyways, since his kit works extremely well with AD and lethality. Still, Tank Pyke is an option if you're interested. The second part of his passive is where things get interesting. Pyke stores damage he takes into Grey Health, going up to 80 plus 800% of his bonus AD, with it capping at 60% of his maximum health. Additionally, when Pyke is unseen by enemies, he consumes his Grey Health and transforms it into a heal for the same amount. Since Pyke is very squishy, and being aggressive is necessary to play him correctly, this passive allows him to regain some health after losing a bad trade or getting bursted in a team fight. It's pretty neat. Moving on into his Q, we have Bone Skewer. Pyke winds up a hook for up to 3 seconds, increasing its range the longer you hold it. Pyke is also slowed for 20% while holding this ability. When used, the hook does physical damage to the first enemy hit and pulls them towards Pyke, slowing them for 90% for 1 second after being pulled. Releasing the ability early, within 0.5 seconds, will make Pyke stab the enemy closest to him, prioritizing champions. If he gets interrupted while channeling this ability, or he holds it for more than the limited time, then half of its mana is refunded, but the ability still goes on cooldown. So imagine a blitz hook that doesn't pull you as much and also has a shorter range, but you can use it as a stab as well. You're obviously going to use the hook almost every time, since even pulling the enemy when he's close to you allows you to do some pretty cool things that I'll get on to later in the video. However, having the option to quickly tap the ability when you want to assassinate someone can be really useful sometimes. Pyke's W is Ghost Water Dive. When activated, Pyke enters a camouflage state, while also gaining movement speed that decays over 5 seconds and gets increased by 1.5% for every point of lethality he gets. If enemies are within 1,500 units of Pyke, a circle of sharks will surround them so they know the Ripper is close by. This is when shit starts hitting the fan. And I'm not talking about the ability itself, I'm talking about the scaling. With just 3 lethality items, you get a total of 51 lethality, which then translates into 77% movement speed. And that's without counting the 60% base movement speed you get from this ability at max rank, making it a total of 137% movement speed ability on a 12 to 10 second cooldown without CDR items. That is pretty ridiculous, to say the least. But on the big scale of things, it doesn't do much for your team. I mean, it's not like he has a dash that can go over almost any wall in the game, while still having the possibility to stun an entire team. Cause, let's be honest, that would just be insane. Pyke's E is Phantom Undertow. Pyke dashes in a targeted direction, leaving behind a phantom of himself that will also return to him after 1 second, which is fine. But the bullshit is that the phantom also stuns all enemies it passes through for 1.25 seconds, plus 0.1 second for every 10 lethality. This might not seem like much, but with a normal build consisting normally of 4 lethality items, this goes to a 2-second stun on a champion with a huge burst potential and a note that chunks half of your HP. However, as much as I want to shit on this ability, I can't. It's pretty hard to hit it, and in team fights, you have to literally throw yourself into the middle of 5 enemies to be able to get big stuns off. And as a champion who has a fixed amount of health and can't recover unless you're far away, on top of a 15-second cooldown at all ranks, it's harsh, to say the least. Pyke's ult is Death from Below, and holy motherfucking god is this ability broken. Pyke has a range where he can mark an area with an X, which he then strikes after a 0.75 second delay, executing any enemy champion below 250 HP to 550 HP based on your level. This cap gets increased by 80% of his bonus AD and 1.5 health for every lethality point. If this ability hits an enemy champion, then Pyke will blink to the center of the X. If Pyke doesn't execute an enemy, then the ultimate itself does 50% less damage. But if he does execute an enemy, not only does the ability get refunded for 20 seconds at no cost and no limit of amount of executions, it also grants your cut. What is your cut, you might ask? Well, after an execution, gold is given to both Pyke and the last assisting ally. This gold can be from 1 to 300 depending on the enemy's kill bounty. In addition, if anyone dies while in the 0.75 window, Pyke is given 2 stacks of your cut. There's not much to be said, it's just a really stupid ability. Not so much because of the ability itself though, because this man can literally lose an entire ultimate while being teleported to the middle of the enemy team and die because a furry playing a cat on an ADC's shoulder decided to wake up from her hibernation and press E. No, what really makes people salty, salty, is your cut. On a normal execution with your ulti and one person assisting it, you are not getting 300 gold, and your ally isn't getting 150 gold. No. Instead, you're getting 600 gold, and your ally is getting 300 gold. That means that if this guy gets a single kill on you with his ultimate, the enemy team just banked 900 gold. And I just really want to emphasize the fact that this is per kill. And if Pyke ults too late, he's actually getting rewarded with an extra coin. What the fuck? Now, I love Pyke a lot, but I hate this concept with a burning passion. As satisfying as going from 0-2 in lane to getting a double kill on bot and then coming back 2 minutes later with a serrated dirk and boots is, I can't say it's balanced. It used to be a good ability where only your ally got the cut and you would only get it if you mistimed your ult. It was cool. It changed how supports could be played. Instead of giving every kill, they were incentivized to take every kill and be the carry themselves. But now this motherfucker is going around swimming in more gold coins than Scrooge McDuck. And when I look at these types of things, I understand why so many people end up hating this champion, even though he's so awesome in so many ways. Either way, it's still a really nice ultimate. And shields don't do anything to it, so that's a nice touch.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pyke's Tips and Tricks. Let's jump into it, shall we? Today's contestant is none other than Pyke. Come on, buddy, show us what you've got.
Okay, so there's a lot to cover with this champion, so I'll do my best to explain all of it while trying to not give you guys an aneurysm. So Pyke can do a lot of cool stuff by combining his Hyuk, his dash, and his ult. The most simple combo you want to get down is hooking someone and dashing away. Many people will actually jump in when you dash, but using it backwards will have the same effect, and you're not throwing yourself into danger. However, you need to be close enough to the enemy, as being too far away won't pull them hard enough for this to work. This is not to say that you can't dash in. Sometimes it is useful, and it allows for another combo, where you dash into someone out of range, and then you flash towards them to get behind them at the last second your phantom gets to you, securing a stun that's almost impossible to react. So, a cool fact about Pyke's hook is that if he uses it on someone that's really close to him, he will actually flip them over his head, kinda like a Singed. So, combining this with tip number 1 can really be useful to catch someone who's looking to engage on you. If you're into a tricky situation under tower, you can dash first while being close to the enemy to guarantee a stun, and then pull them close to you with your hook so the tower gets work done on those greedy divers. You can also pull enemies over walls with your hook, which can help in situations where you want to get their jungler inside the Baron or Drake pit so he can steal it and make the game more interesting. There's also a way to cancel Pyke's hook animation with your dash, making it way faster and pretty broken honestly. However, doing this requires literal frame perfect timing, and so getting it consistently will probably not happen. Still, pretty cool. For his ult, it gets a bit tricky. Using Pyke ultimate for executing someone is normally what you're gonna go for, but there's some scenarios, like for example when the recast time is going off after already executing someone, where the best course of action is either one of two things. The first is dashing, then ulting the enemy or enemies, and then flashing over them to get the stun off. This is basically a longer version of the dash flash combo, so if you need to stun one enemy so your team can jump on him, but he's playing like a pussy beta cuck, then this will probably do the trick. It's also possible to do it without flash, but it's way harder and not as reliable. Another thing you can do with your ult besides executing is using it, going off with your dash, and then pulling them with your hook when they're stunned. It's a good way of securing a dash, and securing a dash secures a pull. Pretty simple. The last thing you need to know about this ult is how to secure it with the enemy not being able to flash away. You do this by pulling someone and then instantly ulting where they're going to be. And with this you might say, Pyke, won't they just heal?
Yeah. So yeah, be careful for heals. And there's not really much to it. What do you want from it? What the fuck do you want from me?
Now let's move into different stages of the game as Pyke. So early game depends a lot on the matchup. However, most of the times you're going to want to either apply pressure on the enemy laners and use your hook dash combo to get their summoner spells, giving you priority in lane and a lot of kill potential, or you can get pushed and try to pull them below your turret and go for a kill. Besides that, the best advice I have to give you is get level 6 and roam. Get mobility boots as quickly as you can and roam mid, top, hell, even jungle. But make sure your ADC is fine, place some wards, and try to get early kills for your team without pushing it too much. Pyke wants to end the game early, and giving your team some gold with your ult can really help with that. Also try to get control of bot lane, towers, and early drakes, as they help out the team overall. Mid game is when you want to start getting your team together and get game deciding fights underway. If you manage to get your team ahead in the early game, then this becomes way easier, since your team will have way more gold, which means more items, which hopefully means they win and carry. Late game is a red no-no area. This is where Pyke does the worst in. With everyone already having a full build, or close to it, and with the fact that you're extremely squishy and probably not gonna kill anyone in general unless they wander off alone to lane, the most you can do is either try and defend your team with your abilities while trying to look for someone to execute, or to get a Sanguine Blade, split push, and hope you attract enough people so your team can pick off the enemy team. This is not to say that Pyke can team fight, because in the right circumstances he will pentakill your ass beautifully, but his kit just doesn't work well in the late game environment. While other assassins have point and click abilities that allow them to jump into one poor bastard and blast their load on them before they can even react, Pyke doesn't. And so assassinating someone with him in team fights on the later stages of the game is extremely hard, even without a support backing them up. For builds on Pyke, it's pretty simple. Lethality, lethality, and more lethality. The first item you want to get is Umbral Glaive. Combined with an Oracle's Lens and a Control Ward, you can deny so much vision from the enemies. Plus, the golden XP are nice. The second item you want to get is Yomu's Ghostblade, because more movement speed. There's really not much to it. And the third item is Mobility Boots. Now, these three items are essential on Pyke, and you should take them basically every game. There's really never a game where these items don't work out, trust me. After that, you want to get items depending on the game. Duskblade for more damage, Edge of Night if they have abilities that can secure a kill on you, Guardian Angel for survivability, Sanguine Blade for split pushing, and so on. He's incredibly versatile on his build options, and it's not just this build. For runes, I personally take Aftershock with Demolish, Bone Plating, and the last one depends on the enemy team, but Revitalize is the best one overall. For secondary, I take Triumph for the healing, and Legend of the Tenacity to be even more slippery. For marks, I go 2 Adaptive Force, and the last one depends on the lane matchup. I'm saying it now, even though these are technically the best runes to take on Pyke, he can utilize almost every rune decently well, to the point where it's actually disgusting. Electrocute, Glacial Augment, Dark Harvest, Hail of Blades, Predator, Conqueror, Jesus, even Omnistone works surprisingly well on him. So please do not think your options are limited by my personal favorite choices. For skins we have really old meme Pyke, even more edgy Pyke, and Terminator Snake Pyke. And well, that's Pyke. A lot of problems, but at the end of the day, the good things highly override the bad ones. He's an incredible champion with an amazing story, an easy to pick up kit but a high skill ceiling, and he's extremely fun and satisfying to play. If you're looking to play a support, you like assassins, and you like to snowball to the moon and back, then by all means, give this champion a try. And with that, I'll think I'll end the video here. Well everybody, thanks for watching until the end. I did put a lot of work into it, so any like or subscribe would really be appreciated, and with that, I'll take my leave. My name is Pyke, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.